I'm Leo Warder for Kit Guru. We're here in London looking at a preview of the Aorus X9 laptop. We saw this laptop at Computex this year and it's taken a little while for them to deliver a sample, but this is a preview, not yet a full review to come. Significant thing is 17.3-inch screen on the diagonal, two options for the panel. You can either have a 4K IPS 60Hz or you can have a 3K 120Hz, that's a TN panel. Two options for the screen. A bunch of options for storage, either SSD plus SSD or SSD plus hard drive. The key technical feature, pair of GTX 1070s in SLI. There's a certain amount of hoopla and song and dance about the fact it's the thinnest ever laptop that combines GTX 1070s in SLI with a mechanical keyboard. In this instance, it's a non-Cherry mechanical keyboard, 2.5mm travel, which is a lot less than Cherry. So if you're after dual GTX 1070s and you want mechanical keyboard in a thin chassis, this is your fella. Whether you want one or other of those is a slightly different story. The software on the screen is something we have seen before. It's the command control software which controls lighting, fans and all sorts of bits and pieces. We've got RGB lighting in the keyboard. We've got a panel here which has various functions, can tell you what the thing's doing in terms of temperatures and such like. And then there are 4 lights around the laptop which tell us, well, basically they're cosmetic. And then if you turn the thing into music mode, the whole thing turns into a disco box, which is jolly nice because there are 4 decent speakers in the thing, so the underside becomes one large sound system. The cooling's a big part of this chassis, so intakes top and bottom and then it exhausts to the rear and the sides. In the past, if we go back to the roots of Aorus, which was SLI 970s as I recall, that was a much thinner chassis. The exhaust on the rear is more or less a nozzle. In this instance, the thing's been frankly opened up, top, bottom, sides and back. Looking forward to seeing how that goes. Back to do a noise test though, and that should tell us a thing or two. Okay, we're doing a quick and dirty audio test using 3D Mark 11. This is in performance mode. I'm going to bring in a microphone and the fans have kicked up. And I think that's about level 6 of 10. That's more like, okay, that's about level 7. And I can feel the jets of hot exhaust air coming out of the back and the sides. But that's still pretty good. We haven't got the horrible high-pitched whine that you sometimes get with the whole Dyson thing when the fans are really howling away. Yeah, it's pretty good. Right, now it's about level 8. Still not offensive. Just goes to show, get a really big chassis, make it from aluminium, and you can keep the thing cool and quiet. Okay, I've got the command and control center open. I'm just going to switch over to this fixed mode here and ramp the fans up to 100%, just demonstrate how loud they might be. Put the microphone back in the same place. And that's pretty loud. Aorus X9 is going to come in 3 versions. At launch there'll be 2 and then like a super duper version coming along behind. So the $3,199 version, 17.3-inch screen, Quad HD, so 2560 by 1440, that's a 120Hz panel. Intel Core i7 7820HK processor, dual GTX 1070s and SLI, 16GB DDR4 2400 MHz, and then we've got a 256GB SSD and a 1TB hard drive. The more expensive version, same size chassis, same processor, but its 17.3-inch screen is 4K, so 3840 by 2160, and that is IPS. Same GTX 1070 graphics and SLI. This time you get 32GB DDR4 2400 and you get a 512GB SSD along with the 1TB hard drive. The big boy, price unknown, is going to have the 1440 panel and 120Hz, same processor, same graphics, same 32GB of DDR4, but it's going to have a pair of 512GB SSDs. Not sure whether that's going to be RAID or otherwise. No hard drive in that configuration, pure SSD. The main features of the Aorus X9, boil down to styling, so there's talk about racing cars and fighter planes and such like. It's certainly very striking. As to whether it's to your taste, that is very much a personal matter. Internally, GTX 1070 SLI. We got the hint that there might be a model coming with a single GTX 1080, but whichever it is, whether it's 2 or 1 GPU, you're going to have a single power supply rather than a pair of power bricks. That's a good thing. We like that. The combination of SLI graphics and mechanical keyboard, but in real low profile, along with quad fans and RGB lighting, put those features together. We've seen them all in different permutations before. Put them all together. They are apparently unique to the X9. You get a choice of panel, 120Hz, that's in 1440, or 4K IPS. And then you get a 4-speaker audio setup, that's 2 front-facing speakers and 2 woofers. Aorus is keen to emphasize they have a combination of features that is unique. So their mechanical keyboard has 2.5mm travel, whereas the MSI GT75 has 3mm of travel. They're both brown switches, whereas the Razer Blade Pro, 2mm travel, but they're blue and they're a scissor action. Completely different, Aorus tells us. It's like, well, if you say so. The Aorus X9, relatively speaking, is a lightweight at 3.59 kilos, they claim. However, the Razer Blade Pro they also compare it to is 3.49 kilos, which is definitely lighter. The MSI GT75, on the other hand, 4.56 kilos. No matter how you cut it, north of 3 kilos, it's heavy. Also, by definition, it's relatively thick, but not as thick as some. You get a good bunch of ports and connectors. So there's a Thunderbolt 3, that's a Type-C. There's also a USB 3.1 Type-C, which is next to it, so they look the same, but they're not the same. 4 USB 3.0 Type-A's, a mini DisplayPort 1.3, and an HDMI 2.0. There's also a microphone out, which is described as Hi-Fi and SP-Diff out, a 3.5mm microphone in, SD card reader, and also the power point for the single power brick. The battery is a mighty 94 watt hours in capacity. That's good going. Dimensions 428mm wide, 314mm deep, and then the thickness, depending on where you measure it, 23.5 to 30.5mm thick. And that wraps up my preview of the Aorus X9 laptop. Do check back to Kit Guru, we're doing a review in the fullness of time. In the meanwhile, if you like this video, thumbs up. If you don't, thumbs down. If you want more from Kit Guru, click to subscribe. I'm Leo Warder for Kit Guru. That was the Aorus X9.